All right, we're going to get started, guys. This is going to be brief. I mean, maybe 5 minutes, tops 10 minutes, because pretty much covered everything that we could possibly cover, on this call with the call prior. But for me, early in the season, guys, and, a lot of you guys, if not all of you, are pretty much crew chiefs every weekend. I just want to touch on just the leadership aspect of all this. And this was true before with COG and now obviously with UCU. But you guys are crew chiefs for a reason. You guys are leaders. And obviously I and Alex puts a lot of trust and faith in you guys to do the right thing, which you guys do. That's why you're in that position. But early on, I want you guys to be the role models and do the right thing and have the rest of the guys on your crew follow you. And that's not really too much to ask because you guys have earned the positions you guys are in. But even more so early in the season, just to make sure that we start out on the right foot here and get this whole thing rolling in a good, positive way. You guys are the ones that I look up to, and let's be honest, a lot of the other members on your crew will look up to as well. So let's not take that lightly. Let's not, let's embrace that position, all right, which I know you guys all will. I had a question last week from a crew chief in regards to the evaluation. So do the evaluations in the arbiter, okay, for the game report, but also do the peer evaluations. For me, it's just easier to read both. So let's make sure we do that. As far as the weekend, any major issues that happen, obviously you guys will be contacting me right away. Any ejections, anything, warnings, any of those things, guys, I want you to contact me and let me know. Contact me for the crew. Obviously, you guys are the main contacts for weather issues, which we already kind of talked about. And certainly once we get some information, which I'm sure there'll be a ton of it coming in tomorrow, we'll get out to you as soon as we can. I know, Bill Fisher, you're at Rhode Island, correct? Your crew's all ready for that? So there's probably going to be some other changes, I would think, in sites if people are scrambling to try to get this in. Let's face it, a lot of fields aren't going to be playable. So make sure the evaluations are done. Stress to your guys on the crew to do it. It's been awesome so far, like I said earlier, to get all that information in. So let's just continue to do that. Let's go through really good three-man pre-games, guys. Early in the season, a lot of you guys have had the opportunity to be on the field a lot early on and get some games in, and some guys not so much. A lot of the crew chiefs obviously have the opportunity just based on some of the schedules you guys have in some instances to go down south and work other games where a lot of guys haven't had that opportunity. So there'll be some guys out there for the first, second, third time, first time, probably some of them, just based on the weather and the non-conference schedule so far. So let's really take time to do a really good three-man. And I know we talked about being there an hour before, but maybe for game one, get the guys there a little bit earlier and go through a really, really good pregame with these guys. Cover everything. Cover, quirky coverages, fly ball coverages. One thing I thought about and I saw last weekend, and who knows what the weather will actually be once you guys are on the field, but just my personal feeling and watching some guys work in some windy conditions last week, I have no problem with guys going out and everything if the conditions suggest that you do it. All right. I saw a lot of fly balls last week in windy locations that became adventures just because of the weather. So, know that our fly ball read, that's a very important thing that we teach, and we obviously try to get the best reads and keep the rotation intact. But if the weather conditions are bad, then I'd rather have somebody in the outfield than not. All right. So just play it by ear, see what the weather's like, the wind is, what it's like, and just base your rotations and coverages off of that. The 90-second rule we touched on, but let's do our best, like I said, to really keep a good pace going. Sometimes we have to be the cheerleaders out there and the rah-rah guys, in a sense, to keep the game moving, especially with some of these doubleheaders, which for conferences that are playing 3-9 separate days, now weather may impact and we may have 9-9s, or conferences that play 2 9s in a day. It's a long day, especially early in the season. So let's do our best to set the pace and keep things rolling like that. That's really all I have, guys. Not a whole lot. Like I said, we covered a lot in the phone call prior. Do you guys have anything, any questions, anything, concerns, anything you want to ask me while we have you here?
Chris, it's Alex. It's Alex, Chris. I've got one thing, guys, before you ask questions. We have two conferences, the America East and the Northeast Conference, that will have teams playing again a second time during the season. And the only reason I mention that is if there's, other than just kind of your run-of-the-mill stuff that you might report to Chris for whatever reason, it might be some tension that comes up between the two teams and things that we might want to pass along to other umpires in the conference, have that matchup on the back end. So try to look out for some of that stuff too, and that always helps us in the second matchup if we have some reports on anything that went on during the first matchup. It's kind of a unique format for those two conferences. They're probably the only two conferences in the country that do it that way because they only have 7 teams. So anything that we would need to know on that front too between the two teams that could affect a future matchup or a tournament matchup, certainly, take note of that stuff too.
Yeah, Alex, that's great because I remember you and I spoke about this early on. I think that was one of the main reasons why we would do some of these phone calls. It's not like professional baseball where teams see each other a lot, crews speak a lot. That information doesn't get passed along. So great point. Thanks for bringing that up. That's going to be very important. And guys, crew chiefs, in your crew chief report, make sure that if there is anything like that, really in any conference, but those two specifically, make sure it's in there. So when they play the second time, all that information, we can effectively pass that along. Because I'm quite sure that really in very few cases, if any, the same guys are going to see the same teams play each other again. I don't think it's ever going to really happen. So that's good. Thanks, Alex. Anything, guys? Any questions? Someone has a squeaky door. All right. Well, guys, that's it. Like I said, short and sweet. Work hard this weekend. Once again, embrace that leadership role. Get us going on the right leg here. Get us started rolling in a positive way. Encourage you guys to do the right thing, handle situations the right way, cover all those things in your pregame, have fun, and certainly if there's any issues at all, I don't know where I'm going to be this weekend. I've changed my schedule 3 or 4 times now. I guess I'm just kind of holding here to see what the weather is going to be like, where I'm going to end up. So some of you guys may see me, you may not, but I will have my phone with me all weekend long. And certainly like the last weekend where guys were reaching out to me, feel free to do so, okay? All right, that's it, fellas. Have a good night, have a good weekend, and keep in touch if you need anything. Thanks again. Good night, guys.